Hey, what's going on, guys? In this interview, we're going to be interviewing Noah Dossman, which has been a member of the Prohost Blueprint for a couple months now. And we have just recently found out, he reached out and let me know that he finished his first 3 months with $25,000 in revenue, which is pretty exciting, especially considering the fact that he's in Miami, Florida, which is not the easiest city to start this rental arbitrage business. So it's very exciting to hear his success and also what objections he overcame in order to achieve that. So in this interview, he shares his top 5 secrets with regards to making it in the Airbnb business. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Super excited to be interviewing Noah Dossman. Am I pronouncing that right, by the way?
Yes, sir.
Dossman. Noah has purchased the Prohost Blueprint. He's doing extraordinary things over there in Miami. So I wanted to kind of like title this video, the 5 secrets to doing $25,000 on Airbnb in the first 3 months. So before we get to all of that and you giving us those 5 secrets, where are you from? What's your background in entrepreneurship? Have you done any businesses in the past, or tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah, of course. So my whole life, I've been blessed to be surrounded by a family of entrepreneurs, not necessarily multimillionaires, just very hardworking Hispanic family that came to the United States, and they didn't want to necessarily be working a job all the time. So they started off cleaning and doing remodeling and just doing different kind of businesses, painting. And so kind of my whole life, I grown up around the whole entrepreneur kind of like businesses. And I've always wanted to have my own business one day. So I have tried a couple of different things. I've tried trading. I've tried buying and selling. I've tried different things. And honestly, I think that it's a great business and everything. However, I always wanted to have a business that I didn't necessarily need to be at a specific location to make money. I wanted to be able to enjoy my time, enjoy my freedom with my family, with my friends, and not have to worry about always being at some place. I wanted cash flow. Right. So I heard about Airbnb and all of that maybe about probably 2 years ago. And I didn't really think anything about it. I was like, I don't know what that is. And I kind of just neglected it, didn't really think about it. And then one day I stumbled upon Ivan, and I heard that Ivan was making money on Airbnb and a lot of units, and it was doing really well for him and his family. So they actually sent me over your Prohost and the course, and they showed me a little bit about what you're doing. And so I wanted to get into real estate. However, I didn't have the capital to necessarily be buying properties. And number 2, I didn't want to sell houses. I didn't want to be a realtor. I wanted to have cash flow. So I basically started to look into your course. I started to look into other people that did Airbnb. And very quickly, I started to study. I studied some other people, but then I was like, I need a course. So I finally ended up buying Ivan's course. Great investment. And, it ended up benefiting me. And I'm currently with 2 properties in Miami, and I'm looking into getting my 3rd property by this month, possibly next month, very soon. And so that's kind of how it started, man. And the rest has been history.
Awesome, man. And what would you say was that point where you said, I need to buy a course, I need some sort of structure or mentorship or something? Because I'm sure, like I did in the beginning, I was scavenging the internet, going through YouTube videos, getting as much information that I could, free at least. At what point, what was it that occurred that you said, no, I need to make an investment and then have something that's, more structured, more legit, I guess?
Yeah, it was honestly the fact that I saw a lot of videos. There's a lot of guys that have a lot of units and they're doing it big, but it was kind of like all over the place. There was some info here, there was some info here, and then there was some people that as well, they shared things on YouTube and things, but they didn't necessarily show everything that I actually needed. So I said to myself, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a risk, and I'm not finding everything that I need to start this business. So if I'm not finding everything that I need, that means I need to invest into something. So thank God I found your course, and I was able to just right away make that payment and buy the course, because I just needed to have something complete, a real solid course. So that's really when I made the investment, and I changed my mind and I said, you know what? If I'm going to go into this, I need all the information possible. Let me just go ahead and go for it.
Awesome, man. So now let's fast forward into this point that we're at right now, where you just disclosed to me not too long ago that you've done $25,000 just the 3 months that you've been doing Airbnb. What would you say are those 5 secrets that you would attribute to your success? Not everybody could do $25,000 like that in just 3 months. So tell us about that.
Honestly, I'm blessed to live in Miami. A lot of people, they come here, and it's one of the the number one vacation spots in the world. So there's a lot of demand always, and Miami's very pricey, but that's fine because you could charge a lot per night. You don't have to necessarily be cheapskate. You could charge a bunch of money. So honestly, I was blessed to be able to find apartment community that actually accepted me, number one. And number two, I was blessed to have an apartment that is very luxurious. So by me charging more per night, I was able to make a lot of more income and revenue. Right. And so people know and understand I did make around $25,000 in 3 months. However, it wasn't completely profit for me. It was gross profit as a business, but obviously from there, a big percentage of it is to take home. Right. So I would say number one, for the first key for Airbnb to making, whether it's $25,000 a month or whatever amount of money it may be, I would say is don't be afraid to increase your prices. Okay. A lot of people think that if I increase my prices, then people are not going to book. They're going to think it's too expensive, whatever. And you have to understand that if hotels in the area around you are charging $200+ a night and people are booking and you see it constantly booked, people are going to book your Airbnb as well. So don't be afraid of even charging 20% more than what the hotels in your area are charging. So honestly, at the beginning, Ivan, I was really scared because I was like, man, I don't want to charge so much money that I won't be profitable in the end and I won't be able to have the money to pay for my expenses. Right. But I went ahead and did it. And so the number one rule, man, I would really say, Ivan, is to make sure that, you increase your prices and that you're competing with the hotels.
That's great. No, I love that, man, because a lot of people leave a lot of money on the table because of that fear of not making enough money to cover the overhead. But by doing that, they're leaving money on the table, an immense amount of money on the table, or sometimes they'll actually set a number in their brain of what it's worth. But reality, the market is saying, no, I'll pay you this much more for that. So it's good that you say, like, keep your ear on the ground and what's happening in the surroundings, as hotels and other Airbnbs, at what price are they selling the nights, so that you can leverage that information and make sure that you charge a premium. I love that, man. So what would you say would be your second key or your second secret?
Yeah. So the second one I would really suggest is you have to learn pricing strategy. So it's not only about increasing your prices, it's knowing when to increase your prices. It's not, which everything, by the way, this is all included in Ivan's course. It's knowing when to increase your prices. You have to know your seasons. I tell people that, I'm like, you have to know your seasons. So there are seasons, believe it or not, in Miami, although you may think that in Miami, there's always something going on, which there is. Yeah. However, there are seasons where it's a little bit slow. So you have to know your seasons. You have to know your months when you're the busiest. Depending on where you are, you have to know there's a special event going on to either increase your prices or lower your prices a little bit. So you really have to learn pricing strategy, learn rule sets. So that way, you're not just charging $300 a night for a 1-bedroom apartment, when in reality, in that time, it's not the smartest to charge that. So yes, increase your prices, but I would say the second key is that you have to really understand when to increase your prices. Have a pricing strategy, have a game planned out. Okay, if it's your first year in Airbnb, learn, from other Airbnb hosts in the area. Look at a hotel's calendar. Look how much they're charging 6 months out, 3 months out, whatever amount of money it may be out. So for example, in Florida, spring break is obviously crazy. You can charge a ton of money. Right. But on the other hand, summertime may or may not be a little bit slower. But then winter, all the snowbirds from up there, from New York, from different places, they're coming down to Florida. So that's when you can learn to kind of increase your prices and just pick spots within your calendar to either increase or lower your prices depending on the seasons.
I love that, man. That's dead on, because at the end of the day, sure, you need to learn your seasonalities of where you're located, but you also need to learn technically the seasonalities of your guests where they're located. Because if it's winter in New York or wherever it's cold, people are going to flock to Miami because they want the heat. So you need to learn when that is, and you need to learn the different nuances of other people's travel schedules or vacation times, so that you can increase your prices and reduce your prices in those times that it's fluctuating. So 100% agree with that. I love that. And what would you say is your third key or your third secret?
A lot of people, I personally have seen Airbnb hosts that they put an Airbnb and it's not always booked. And the problem with that is they don't understand that you have to have hotels around you. There's people that say, oh, you don't have to have any hotels, you don't have, like, just the area, right? But believe it or not, if you give me 3 hotels, 5 hotels, 10 hotels, in my case, there's 7 hotels next to my Airbnb. It's a lot of hotels. That's an indicator that people are traveling. If I don't have a hotel within a 5-mile radius within my Airbnb, I would say to rethink actually placing an Airbnb there, because people are not traveling as much. Sure, you'll get booked out. I mean, you'll get some bookings,
Right.
but you won't be as profitable, like I said, during the whole year. There might be months where you probably won't make enough profit to maybe even cover your overhead.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make sure that you're around hotels that, there's, and not only just a regular hotel, but that there's solid hotels. Think about it. Ivan always says this. He says, if a hotel, like the Marriott or whatever, is willing to invest millions of dollars in an area, right? It's because they have already done their market research to dictate whether or not that's going to be a great investment for the next years to come. So the third one is really just make sure that you're in an area that is surrounded by hotels. It doesn't have to be 10 hotels. It could honestly just be one, but as long as there's a hotel in the area that you could say like, hey, there's traffic there. So that would be key number 3, man.
Yeah, so that's great because at the end of the day, like I've always said, and I have multiple posts on, is like you piggyback off of their market research. The closer you are to hotels, the less risk per se you have of not making as much money. However, you can go the route of not being close to hotels, but then you have to compensate with something else. So there's unique stays that are nowhere near hotels because they want to stay away from the city. They want to stay away from people, but your property needs to illustrate that. If you want to be in a remote location, you need to add the amenities, add or sell that lifestyle so that people can disconnect. But if you're trying to have a regular apartment or a regular house where regular people kind of live, but it's in the middle of nowhere with no real experience tied to it, that's when you stumble into problems that people might not book because, hey, I'm not just going to for that. I can stay in a house just like this or an apartment just like this in the middle of the city where there's things to do. So if you're going to have like a tree house or you're going to have some themed property, then by all means, don't be close to hotels. But unless you're doing that, you're definitely going to hit a wall. So I love that point, man. Yeah. What would you say is your secret number 4?
Yeah. So the last 2, and then I actually have a little bonus tip.
Oh, come on. Let's go.
So I would say is this, Ivan, a lot of people, they kind of like, they don't think about this, but actually care about your guest. So when I mean that is, yes, you can have 100 units, whether you're managing a huge Airbnb, business, or you're managing a small Airbnb business, care about your guests. Actually look at the complaints. There are any. Try your best to get 5 stars all the time. Why? Because when you actually care about your guests, man, Ivan, I've learned that's going to lead you to making so much more money because there might be a guest that's saying, hey, I don't like this part of the apartment. There's not these essentials, whatever it may be. Then you have to work on that. Why? Because when you take care of your guests, that automatically means you're going to get better reviews. And by getting better reviews, you're going to have a higher occupancy. And by getting higher occupancy rate, you can charge more, which in the long end, it will lead to more money. So you got to make sure, like, I'm not saying that you have to pay attention to like everything. There are some guests that said, I had a guest that told me once, like, oh, I don't understand why you have only one TV in your apartment. And I'm like, I can't have any more. Like, there's only one space for it, So there's certain things that you just kind of like don't really consider, but think about it. For example, I had to step up my cleaning game when I first started my Airbnbs. I personally am not the best cleaner. So when I first started the Airbnbs, I was cleaning myself. I was trying, but I got better at it. But I was like, you know what? I need to hire a cleaner because that knows what they're doing. Right. So I started to hire cleaners and, now I have, thank God, 2 cleaners in my apartments. But really care about your guests, guys. I would say that's very important because it'll lead to more reviews. And in the long term, it can generate you more income.
Yeah, for sure, man. A lot of people tend to neglect making your guest happy because they don't necessarily tie that to how much money they make. But in the long run, making your guest happy is going to translate, like you beautifully articulated, is going to translate to more money because happy guests, better reviews, higher occupancy, more money at the end of the day, right? So the hosts that can't connect those dots are the ones that are getting bad reviews. And for that reason, they're not getting booked. And for that reason, they end up falling off. So I couldn't agree more with making your guests happy, making sure that you listen to everything that they have to say, whether you agree to it or not, especially if you're hearing it multiple times, like, hey, this part was dirty, or hey, we didn't have enough toilet paper or paper towels or whatever it is, listen. And if it's something that's going to move the needle to make it a better experience for the guests and it's not going to cost you a ton of money, it's just maybe a little bit more effort, then by all means do it. Because again, happy guest equals more money in your pocket. I love that.
Yeah.
What is your next secret?
All right. So people, sometimes they neglect this, but you have to take professional pictures of your listing because this is very key. If you don't have good quality professional pictures of your property, you're losing out on money because people are driven by what they think is appealing, right? So my apartments, I consider them to be very nice apartments with very nice community. If I were to just take cell phone pictures of my unit, it wouldn't get as booked as much as it is. So remember that this is almost like clickbait. The only difference is that you're not lying to people about how your apartment actually looks like. Just the small detail of having a professional photographer to come into your Airbnb and take good quality pictures will automatically make you stand out from the rest. And it'll make you more profitable in the long term because people see your level of excellence. And that's what eventually that they want to be at. I try my best. Everything that I do, I'm going to do it in excellence or I'm not going to do it. So that extra $100 that you spend on a photographer, it's not going to kill you. It's going to make you more money. So remember, Airbnb, people, they pull up, for example, when they go on the app, they search up Miami, they search up North Carolina, and automatically there's hundreds of listings. And let's say if, out of those listings, a big percentage of them are not taking professional pictures, then what's going to happen is you are going to stand out because people look at you and they're like, man, this place is really nice. I took the time to invest into a photographer. Click, let me book that. So I've had, for example, I got a 40-night booking for my second apartment the day after it was listed. Like the second day, a 40-night, actually it was a 30-night booking. And then somebody was like, I want to extend it another 10 days. Wow. So all because they told me, hey, your property looks super nice. So listen, excellence and even the smallest details, it goes a long way.
I love that, dude. Again, that's such a crucial point, and people don't know, but Airbnb's algorithm can actually detect the type of pictures that you're taking. Wow. It's that granular. They want to push beautiful properties over ones that hosts don't pay much attention to. So that is definitely a crucial point. Nonetheless, people buy with their eyes. How many times have you gone to a restaurant, you see the menu, and then you go to Yelp to see the pictures of the same food that you're eating, right? We like to see pictures. And if you're translating that you have clear, beautiful, well-lit pictures, then that means that you're a host that pays attention and that cares for the property. If you just take photo pictures where the lights are kind of dim and there's not great lighting and that's going to translate as like, this host doesn't really care about their property that much. Let me go with this one that actually took the time to take a good picture or hire someone to take good pictures. So I'm going to go with that one instead. So I love that, bro. So you said you had a bonus secret for me. I'm dying.
Yeah, this is a little bonus secret, Ivan. Whether you don't want to put it or not, it's fine. Believe it or not, you can make money off of your cleaning fees. And the way I say that is I've contacted different cleaners in the area where I stay. I asked them like, hey, how much are you going to charge me to clean this 1-bedroom apartment? And they'll tell me, oh, I'll charge you $50. I'm like, okay, great. However, I do charge $100 for my cleaning fee. Why? Because there's times where I have to, replace cleaning supplies, etc. Mm-hmm. So I charge a little bit more just in case for that. However, there are times where I don't have to spend any money on anything because I have enough. Right. So what does that mean? Hey, I can take those $50 and put it in my pocket. Why? Because I'm providing a professional cleaner to clean my apartments for all of my guests. So think about this. Let's say you have 20 nights booked on your Airbnb and you charge $100 and you pay a cleaner $50. Then you could automatically be taking in an extra $500 a month just off cleaning fees. Maybe even a little bit more, less, depending on how often you're booked. Hey, don't be also afraid to charge a little bit more. Take home those extra $50 because it might not seem like a lot. However, when it starts to accumulate and you have multiple bookings all throughout the month, that's going to start to increase and you're going to make even more money on your property.
Absolutely, man. And we're definitely going to include that. That's something that I do for a long time. I pay my cleaners per hour. So we have in-house cleaners and I pay them per hour. So it's cost me on average $25 to $30 to clean one unit, but I'm charging $45, $65, $95, depending on the property for the cleaning fee. People are willing to pay that, especially in Miami. $100 cleaning fee is not abnormal. So if you're able to find quality cleaners that are willing to do quality work at a discount, you can still keep your rates at the competitive level because why wouldn't you, right? So that's a good way to increase your bottom line and kind of hedge against, like Noah said, kind of hedge against when those occurrences come where you do need to spend a little bit more and help offset those costs. So I totally love that, man. And that's something that I haven't included in the course. And I love these conversations because I need to make sure to include these type of topics to increase your bottom line. So I love that, man. Thank you so much for those pointers. So this is also obviously coming from someone who's only been in the game for 3 months or what have you, but is obviously doing a ton of things right by by having this level of success that he's had. So I want to ask you, Noah, in one sentence or two, what would you say to another struggling host about the Prohost Blueprint and what it's done for you?
I would say get Ivan's course. Yeah, I would definitely say to take your business seriously. Invest in knowledge. Knowledge is the most important resource that you have.
Let's say if you were to just get one thing out of the course, what would you say would be the most important in your business?
I would say what has helped me a lot has in Ivan's course has really been your mindset. You know, how to come up with the money, how to furnish it, how to take pick, all that stuff. It's relatively easy. What is not easy to change in people is their mind. So you have to make sure that, you know, when I took Ivan's course, I would be going to apartment buildings, calling them, almost like begging them for them to have me in their property. And I believe that that's why a lot of people told me no, because in the long run, they look at me like this needy guy that wants an Airbnb here. But the moment that I started to put myself as the value for the apartment building, that's when everything changed. You know, I learned in Ivan's course really, hey, you know, you are their magic. Like when you come in, it's like, wow, I found the perfect person, especially when you learn more info on actually how to get units, you're going to realize, oh, I see why Noah is saying that, because they may need a lot of apartments to be rented out and you're their solution. So my number one takeaway is not necessarily how to get the business started, how to do any of that. That's important. But I would really say that the number one most important takeaway from this course is how to change your mindset and making yourself the asset versus just the apartment building.
Love that, dude. I can't stress that enough. Every time I do like a strategy session with a new student, somebody who just got the course, that's the number one thing that I emphasize, because that's where I see the biggest pitfalls have come from, is not having that mindset. So I totally love that. On that note, let's say for someone who's on the fence of getting the course, that they're not sure if they should or not, what would you tell that person to kind of help them out?
The number one fear that people have, Ivan, is there's so many courses out today, not just about Airbnb, but any kind of business. Honestly, there's people that they make their living off of selling courses. Let's just be straight up honest. However, you have to understand that when you have people like me, when you see results, you can trust that it's going to work for you as well. So make sure that you don't have fear in the sense of, oh my gosh, like I'm going to do this, but what if it doesn't work? What if it not? All these other questions. Take a risk, be bold, have courage. Having your own business, being an entrepreneur, being whatever it may be, especially in this Airbnb business, is the best thing you could do. It comes with the stresses, it comes with its things, but investing in Ivan's course and making it a point where you see my results, you see other people's results, you see Ivan's results. And we're not playing around here. We're giving quality to every person. We're genuinely being transparent. And honestly, one of the things that I really liked about Ivan's course was my ability to really communicate with him directly. You know, I know there's a lot of big people that have these crazy courses and they charge a lot of money for it, but you can never talk to them, you know, directly. You can never ask them a question. You can never really you're just kind of like entered into a Facebook group and God knows what's going to happen there. Right. So, you know, in this course, you're really surrounded not only by Ivan, but other people within the community that genuinely want to help you, genuinely want to even do business with you. You never know who you can meet that could be, you know, a future business relationship. So my number one key is, hey, you know, take that risk. Don't be afraid. See the results. The fruit speaks for itself, and take that risk and go for it.
I love that, dude. Thank you so much for that feedback, man. It's priceless. It's not something that I can't really necessarily understand that aspect of things and how you're approaching it from consumer standpoint. So that feedback is invaluable. And what would you say? I don't know if you shopped around for other courses or other opportunities. What made you decide to go with the Prohost Blueprint versus, you know, anything else out there?
The number one thing that I would say is two things. I would say is number one, the level of organization that Ivan has. I shopped around for different courses, mainly just looked around, and it was disorganized. A lot of people, because you have to understand this. If somebody has 50 units, 100 units, 25 units, they're making serious money every month, right? They don't necessarily care about making a really nice course for their customers. I believe you have, was it 18 units?
Yeah, 17.
17 units. Ivan has a bunch of units, but for him to have the heart to actually say, you know what, I don't want to just become wealthy myself. I want to genuinely teach people how to do the same business, but create it in a way where there's so much order, there's so much structure, there's so much organization within his course is what sold me. And also So for what you're getting and for the level of access that you can have with Ivan himself, it's very cheap. So it's really not an expensive course where you're going to be paying $5,000, anything crazy, or a 3-day mastermind where you're going to spend your whole bank account. You know, this is not necessarily expensive, quote unquote. And even if you go to this course and you're like, oh, you know, this is expensive, this is that, whatever, everything is going to be expensive until you change your mindset. So you have to be willing to say, you know what, this is not expensive. I'm investing into my future. I'm investing into my family. Because think about this, you make this investment now and you start to actually benefit from the fruit of learning this. You know what's going to happen? You're not only changing your life personally, financially, but you're changing your generation's timeline, your kids' timeline, future, your family, your parents, whoever it may be. I would say the main thing is the level of organization and structure that Ivan has within his course. And I would also say it's just the one-on-one communication that we're blessed to be able to get with Ivan.
Awesome, man. I love that. It's crazy because a lot of people, they're not pulling the trigger because of pricing. And the reality is that, you know, we're going to increase the prices because we want to deal with people who are willing to invest in themselves. And those are the type of people that I want to surround myself with. I want to surround myself with people like you and people like Flor and people like Daniela, all these students that they paid a price to get access, to get this knowledge. But because they paid a price, they're going to actually do something with the information. I can count with my 2 hands how many times I've given away my course, friends, family, doing a favor, and they haven't even opened the course. You don't value the things that you don't pay for. And that's just the reality of it. And as time goes by and as the course gets completed, it's going to increase in price because the more complete it is, the more valuable it is. And the more I would want to work with people who are serious about this opportunity. Plus, we don't want to flood this information with just a bunch of people. We want to keep it kind of exclusive. We want to be jealous of this opportunity because if we just have a whole bunch of people getting properties and they're going to flood the system, really not from a place of greed. It's more so of a place of like, we need to protect our own as well. Hey, if you want to come on board, sure. But you kind of need to follow through with this information the way it's supposed to. So I totally love that, man. And on that note, man, I thank you so much for your time, Noah. I appreciate your feedback, your information, amazing points. Anything else that you want to tell the people before we go?
I would say is just look into where you want to be in 5 years from now, 10 years from now. There's people that they do very well working, 9-to-5 jobs. They love it. That's fine. Not a problem. Not everyone has to be an entrepreneur. I think if everybody was an entrepreneur, we'd have a problem. But I would say if you have that tug of, hey, I don't want to necessarily be working for somebody my entire life. I don't want to necessarily be having to just get a paycheck every month. I want to have my own business. Hey, this is a great business to start in. And I would also say is a lot of people have told me, I've been like, oh, that Airbnb thing is oversaturated. The whole market it's like there's too many people doing it. Like it's very hard to get into. Hey, listen, when you believe in yourself and you believe in the knowledge that you're being given, nothing's impossible. People have told me like in Miami, it's impossible to get units. You're talking to somebody that has 2 units and looking at getting another couple of units in this year. So it's not impossible. Fix your mind, look into the long-term vision of your life. And, you're going to see kind of what you want to do just to secure your finances and not have to be dependent just on a paycheck. So that's my number 1 tip. And I hope that everyone that's watching this video, that you got this course, that you learn. And even if you don't want to just do a community of apartments, hey, you want to buy a house? That's fine. You want to get a townhome. You want to list your own house. Whatever it may be, you want to get apartments. Hey, Ivan has a ton of information for you, a lot of knowledge that he has, because I believe Ivan also has a house listed on one of his listings. So ton of information for you. Doesn't matter what background you come from, whether you know nothing about it or you have some prior experience, I would say to make the jump and go for it.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much, Noah. Thank you for your time, your information. I know that, you're doing a lot of things. I can't wait to see what else God has in store for you in this whole process. But thank you, man. As always, it's part of the culture to see you at the top because we're all going to the top. We don't want to be at the top by ourselves. So, I'll see you at the top, Noah. Let's go.
All right. I'll see you at the top.
In the next couple of days, we're going to be launching our starter course, which is mainly designed for those who have not yet fully committed to purchasing the full course or just want to get a little bit more information before fully diving into this journey of becoming an Airbnb host. So we put this together. It's a 7-day starter course where you'll get the necessities to understand more of what this business is like. And then we have a very special offer for that starter course so that virtually everybody can come on board and see if this is the right fit for you. So I'm excited for you guys to check that out. It's going to be out July 8th. So do whatever it is that you need to do in order to make sure that we don't land in your junk mail. And I'll see you at the top. Let's go.